this?
No, it's free. We give it out free.
And when are you going to start charging?
Right now, we're just trying to get the circulation out, and I don't think we ever had an idea of charging the people. Like you said, getting advertising and getting support, people taking out ads is a struggle, but we're making it happen, and because we started off with the website first, and then with the radio show that we have on online, and then we went to the paper.
So, Mr. Sellers, so have you read this paper? I don't put you on the spot.
Yes, I check it out as much as possible. I'm doing some writing with these guys. So
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, with
Okay,
AJ.
so,
we're actually working together. We just put it's the early stages.
So what are you writing about? What is your contribution to the paper?
Well, just what I see from what's going on in the black community. We talked about black economics and the power of creating black businesses like what they're doing.
Absolutely.
This is major as far as the next step for black people to stay self-contained and grow. And build from within and go without. So we're not always going to them with our hands out asking for this, for that, for the other. We're creating it from within. So, I think this is a big thing in the black community that we need to go back to. We had to do it at one time because our resources were very thin, but as we grow and we see a lot of different things, the way other people are doing things, we kind of scatter, get away from what got us where we're at. So I think it's important to go back to the nucleus of how we came along in cities like Harlem, Chicago, Watts, this is black people built from within, and they went out. And not to make it all about black people, but I am agreeing with the Muslims when they say that you have to work on yourselves from within before you can be effective without. So until we can start getting along and putting our communities together, back together, I think it's going to be a lot of issues, in my humble opinion.
Why is it, when I grew up, and for you guys it might seem like a long time ago, but trust me, it ain't that long. As they say in church, how long? Not long.
Right.
It is, every group have a dynamic that tells it to protect itself through. And it's just a natural thing. You got the Cubans, you got the other Hispanics, you got the Mexicans, you got the Chinese, Koreans. All of those seem to understand the group dynamics that keeps them afloat. It gets lost, and obviously we're not talking about 100%, but enough to be alarmed that the black community
Absolutely
is not mimicking what I see the other groups doing. Why do you think that is?
I think it's social conditioning. We have been conditioned since we was brought here as slaves. We've been conditioned not to unify. Not to, and then it's the lack of being taught the power of economics, the power of wealth. I also think we made some mistakes through the struggle of what we call the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. I think that part of the thing was the civil rights movement. Because we wanted to be sitting next to white people so much. Once we were able to do that, we stopped going to black hotels and going to black gas stations and patronizing white businesses and not patronizing black businesses. And those stigmas has gone on till today, where we think that their ice is colder, right? So when you see black businesses, they have a hard time to survive. Look at BET. When Bob Johnson sold BET, his main complaints was that even though he was doing the numbers, the advertisers wasn't giving him the same amount of money for the same time as they was giving MTV. But we would flock to MTV when MTV decided to start putting on black videos, and then we left BET alone. So BET had to leave the knowledgeable content that they had. I remember Bev Smith, and they had all those good shows on BET. Yeah. So they had to drop all those shows that was educating black people to continue to put videos on to compete with MTV when MTV started showing. So a lot of it is our ignorance as a community to understand the power of having wealth, the power of having community, the power of working together to solve our own problems.
What about you, Jeff? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. He's hit it right on that, what it needs to be said. We just, so like you say, you forget what it takes to build, or you go off and you chase something else. They paint a lot of pictures as what the American dream was, but the American dream is really what we create, in this land. So a lot of it goes from, like you said, following after what others are doing instead of just like staying self-contained. And when it comes time for them to want us to participate in what they want to do, they got to come to us, and we have to agree, and we come together. Our voice and our money is a lot in this country. You know what I mean? We don't realize the power of our voice and our dollar. And I think that's why, I'm putting together my capstone in that way, where just to remind us that the power of our dollar.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after the break. Joe Spezio, a threat to public safety. Joe Spezio ain't no threat. We let him be a threat.
Absolutely.
And we're going to get into that. All of this is going to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't name one group of people that will permit this man
absolutely
to do what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And I get tired of people talking about give this kid a break. That boy should be locked up forever.
I think he will be. It's starting to look that way.
Because and this is what black people do, is that sometimes sometimes your worst enemy comes from within.
You want to switch it up?
Yeah.
All right.
We don't have to reach them wires. Not yet.
Yeah, because I'm going to need one. Yeah, I'm going to need one for the phone.
Okay.
Just in case they get some calls, people can hear.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No problem. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good,
I
man.
was you on in Harlem the other day.
Yeah. With Conrad.
Yeah. I'm in PJ on Monday nights. So I used to go down there too. All right. I was hitting on some good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him up. I'm waiting for Ernie to come on the show. Come on our show, man.
Well, I don't just walk on people's shows.
What you might have heard.
I don't be gorilla in people's stuff.
Well, you are rumored to do that, too.
Yeah. The woman that took $6 billion. They got me up. I'm going to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, we are back, and we're talking about black economics. You can tell a community and how vibrant it is how many times money turns over in its community. And I think in the Jewish community it turns over 14 times, 15 times. And the black community it turns over one time in and out.
That's right.
And so it does not have a chance to work. The other thing is that every group that I'm aware of in this country always look out for members of the group because they understand that if someone in the group falls, that's a reflection on them. And we understand that, but too many of us are so busy trying to pull each other down that it doesn't manifest itself. For instance, I would say that most black people in this country, not Africa, but in this country, African American, are overweight, which means they eat, which means they're eating somewhere. And you don't have a whole lot of black restaurants. You know, and so you can just, for instance, in my neighborhood, they have a lot of grass, a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs, and I don't see no black people cutting grass. You walk down the street, anywhere in Mount Vernon, a lot of places in Mount Vernon, you see ballers in the street, and you see little Mexicans generally. You see black folks now, I'm seeing, which I applaud that. But you see them at every opportunity. They see opportunity, and they pick up those balls, and each ball is a nickel. I asked one young man, he's no longer with us now, I said, Charlie, how much do you make doing this? He says, you know, without hustling, I can make $200 a day, just picking up balls. And so, when you craft a mindset that there's money in everything in this country, one good thing about it, and a bad thing too, is that almost everything you can think of, you can make money out of.
That's right.
I know people who pick up people's laundry and dry cleaning, and they make money just taking it from one house to the dry cleaning. And we just have to change our mindset. Now, before we get all crazy and think that we just really not worth anything, let me take you back to Black Wall Street and Tulsa, Oklahoma, where black people came out of slavery. And many of them were elected to office during the Reconstruction. And the whites couldn't take that, and they passed the black codes, which says if you're a black man, you better not be on the street after dark unless you had a job working that night. So there's black people have a struggle. Black people set up banks, they set up insurance companies. They did a lot of things to help themselves, but guess what? The powers that be burnt down a whole town.
That's right.
That black people started. So, and just look at what it is to try to start a business. If you try to start a business, you're going to catch hell because the banks have redlined your area and they don't want you to lend money to you. So that stifles. So there's two sides of this coin. Yes, black people have acquiesced to trying to mimic what they see as the acceptance of whites, but the whites also set up systems by which they guarantee that you will fail.
Right.
And so as you do your research, and once you go back, ever since this country got started, to examine what black people did under the most severe conditions.
That's
My
right.
granddaddy was not a slave, but in where I was born, actually, in South Carolina, Spartanburg, right out of Spartanburg.
Okay.
My granddaddy built his house, He built. He had 88 acres of land. He never worked for white folks. Never. And he had a car.
Yeah.
And he was a mason. And he was a thick-built, very dark-skinned man. And his children, though, when he died, they sold off that property.
That's what a lot of people have done.
Yeah.
When they moved south, when a lot of the children moved north, and their parents left property in the south, they sold it off. They didn't see the value in real estate.
And I saw it as a young boy. And my brother and I said, we're going to buy the farm back. They had sold it to a white guy. He wouldn't sell it to us. And so we have a lot of destructive behavior, but a lot of behavior outside of our own destructive behavior. So what do? Well, what I tried to do in Mount Vernon is get Carver Bank to come in here. It didn't work for a little while, but we were bringing banks in because I understood that white people don't like to lend to black people too easily.
That's right.
And so it didn't work. But those are kinds of things that you got to start doing and give people some incentive and some understanding of finance.
In hindsight, why would you say it didn't work?
Because Carver didn't work.
Oh, we set it up credit union, right?
We set it up. And
No, it was a bank. I remember it was on First Avenue, right?
No, it's on Gramerton Avenue.
It was on Gramerton?
Yeah. We got this signal. We got to take a break, but we'll be right back. Yeah, my buddy was the president of Carver Bank, and so when I won the mayorship in '95, he became the president of Carver Bank. So we got together and said, look, especially churches. They said these churches take up millions of dollars on Sunday morning.
That's right.
And they give it to banks that won't lend them money.
Right.
How much sense does that make?
Right.
Nobody does that.
Right.
So we say we're going to set up this bank, and it was right on Gramerton Avenue, but Carver has never really, and I invested in Carver. And my investment went down.
It's still around, though, right? Carver's still around, right? But it's not.
It's limpid.
Yeah.
I didn't put much money. I had about $5,000 in it. And
With stock? Stock you
yeah. It has a negative value now.
Wow.
That's them though. They gotta they gotta put the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of black banks. I used to have a list of all the black banks in the United States. Yeah.
I was surprised. I went to a conference in Atlanta. I was surprised that there are a lot of black-owned hotels.
Yes.
But they're basically in the Midwest. And Bob Johnson is involved in it. At least he was.
Oh yeah.
So if you're going to do some studies, I want you to go way back. I want you to examine the banking system, insurance system, all because the insurance companies, which I didn't know until as an architect, I didn't really think about this, and things went bad in architectural circles. And this girl, white girl, said, Ernie, why don't you come down to
MetLife.
And I went down. They loved me. She worked for me. But she said, I'm going to tell you, this is what they're paying me. And I told them I worked for you. So when you negotiate your salary, understand this. I went down there, they loved me, blah, 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 blah. And it came to the salary. They offered me $5,000 less than her. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. And that's how I got involved in politics, because I was open my own office.
Right.
Because now the salary wasn't a bad salary,
Right.
but this girl worked for me. You know? And if she hadn't told me,
That's right.
I probably would have taken it.
Yeah. Right. That's
But
right.
so there's a lot of insidiousness going on
Absolutely.
that we don't even know.
Right. Absolutely. There's 2 books by Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
the-
wrote down,
Yeah, those are great books.
Oh yeah, all you gotta do is look at the basketball players. You know, we say they make a lot of money. We say do.
Right.
But if they make it this much money,
How much
think
is the
about
owner?
people-
The owners, right? The stockholders of the team.
That's right. What's the name of the author?
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Claude.
Yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson, man, great. Yeah. He's one.
We are back, and we're having a lively discussions, as we always do, about black folks and the habits that we've accumulated. And when you look at habits, though, you got to look at not as an excuse, but you got to understand the forces that shape those habits. Why is it that and this is a very big generalization, because you can also point out that black people are president of large corporations, but that doesn't define its people.
No.
You have to look at what the average guy is doing, and then you find out what the truth is.
But they're also president of white corporations. See, that's the problem. They say, well, this one made it. He's the president of this and that. Yeah, but he's the president of a white corporation.
Yeah, but that's all right. But the point is that you can't say black folks can't do these things.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
Right.
From that point of view, it's all good. But don't think that this is typical. This is atypical. But until it becomes typical, then it doesn't define what the group is doing. And for instance, black folks should be doing stuff outside of these shores, should be investing and working in Africa, for instance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we don't quite get that yet. And we're not educated to do that.
Right.
And so, therefore, we keep repeating all of the nuances and the prejudices that is put out there for us. And we, to a large extent, we start to believe it.
Right.
So why would you believe what your enemy says?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that? For instance, I'm going to give you an example of what's out here. I haven't watched it, so I don't speak with a lot of authority on this. We have a young man who, I don't know, but people put him in charge of a city. Never had a job, never done anything of consequences, and people put him in charge of a city. And I said, oh my God. I didn't look at him because he only had one vote. But let me tell you, and I don't really talk too much about it because I lost the election. And I want people to say, well, you got sour grapes because you lost the election. But until we start to make decisions intellectually and what is in the good of our collective, then we're going to have trouble the rest of our days.
True.
If you watch the television, you see Ernie Davis misappropriated or stole $6 million.
I heard something like that.
Yeah,
What do you say about that?
Now,
Ernie Davis show? Ask him why. They say
now, so I don't watch it because I just get PO'd for the stupidity, but it does to tell you how the media works.
Right.
Now, rightly or wrongly, I have a big name, and what the media does. Now, there's a lot of other people being sued in this thing, but if you look at it, it's on the Ernie Davis page.
On the cover.
On the cover. I'm on the cover. And this young man is taken and put on his, somebody showed me some stuff. Davis accused of taking $6 million. And they show Memorial Field and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is designed, folks, to keep you stupid.
Yeah.
Because, and you say, well, why is this kid doing this? That's the people around him, some PR has told him that you got to change the narrative. Yeah, you've been indicted, but you got to change the narrative. And who did change the narrative? With a name, Ernie Davis is the biggest name. So that's the biggest, you can get more hate group and all that, controversy with Ernie Davis. So they don't tell you there's about 10 people that's been sued.
Right. Right.
And it's one of the most stupid suits in the world. But they're doing it. Now, let's look at what really happens. You come out with this foolishness because you figure people will say, oh, Ernie Davis stole some more money. I knew he was stealing money. So what happens is that you get people to distrust black leadership.
That's absolutely.
And that's what it's designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stealing money. They stealing money. I know they're stealing money. I saw them, and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't help his cause at this moment. He might think it does, but it doesn't.
No, it just deflects the conversation.
He doesn't. It only deflects it for those who don't know any better. But the people who put forth that suit are not going to be impressed. Now, this is what's really happened. You got a lawyer that does not care, apparently, what he puts out there.
Mm-hmm. He just trying to win cases.
Not even that. He has no integrity because he should know
Right.
some of that
Now,
is not
now,
flying.
they put it out there, and somebody's got to pay for that.
Right.
So you're paying a lawyer to do this dirt, and the city has to pay for it. The city has to pay. So this is the second suit that this young man has put out. The first suit 6 months ago, similarly, about Memorial Field, was thrown out of court. This one will be thrown out of court. But somebody's got to pay.
Right.
That's right.
And it's going to be the taxpayers.
That's right. That's right.
And so this frivolous stuff might seem cute and whatever, but it is a costly venture to somebody. Lawyers don't work for free.
No, they don't.
And the whole thing is designed to desecrate Ernie Davis. Because he might run. We're going to make sure. And then you don't see people like Lyndon Williams and people like that because they are not of consequence yet. But when they do become that, guess what? All the history is going to come back. Mm-hmm. And so we have to learn education. And let me get to education. The people who need education most get it the least.
That's right.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
And so if you keep them dumb and ignorant, they will just rely on emotions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what you see. And there's a grand puppeteer that's in the background, and he's doing all this stuff now. And I'm telling you, just because you put me out there, I'm going to put you out there. Number one, you are a menace to the city, and in 2.5 years, you've done more damage than anybody I could even have thought you could do.
Mm-hmm.
You've destroyed departments, you've broken laws, and with reckless abandon.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care. So whoever walks in that door after he leaves or put out is going to catch hell, because chickens come home to
The
roost.
roof. That's right.
All that frivolity, all of those lawsuits and all of that that you've caused, somebody's got to pay for it.
That's right.
And you voters out there, this is what you bought, and this is what you have to pay for. And you can't do anything about that now, but in the future you can make better choices on who is going to lead you. And don't try to prop up people who don't have your interest. I don't care what color they are.
That's right.
If they don't have the interest of the people, you got to get rid of them. They mean you no good.
Absolutely. That's
But on
absolutely.
that note, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back after the break. Yeah, they have come to the conclusion that I don't know how they come to this conclusion. Don't even ask me how they come to it. But they come to the conclusion that if we do enough diversion, that's
Right.
the Trump
Yeah,
technique.
yeah. It's just that's the Trump.
Let's just churn up,
Yeah.
put our stuff. Snyderman ain't caring about that stuff.
No.
He's the guy you got to worry about.
Actually, I think he's the gift that keep on giving, because he continues to do this, and it's an ongoing investigation.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about it is, this boy has done so much damage that people since I know more than anybody else, I know about this position. He keeps hiring firemen that he don't need. Overtime, over $1 million in overtime every year. You got surcharges going on, which means you got automatic reduction in taxes.
So the city's not going to be able to hold all that.
Huh?
The city's not going to be able to hold all that.
No, you can't. And so what happens is the bond rating people, when they see all of this, it's not a place they're going to lend. So if the city has to borrow money, it has to borrow money at a high rate because they don't trust your city.
Right. Right.
He has done more damage than anybody could imagine. And the reputation. I had some Chinese people come to me talking about doing all that. I said, no, whoops, you don't want to come into Mount Vernon now. How could I tell somebody to come into Mount Vernon now? I can't even tell them to do that.
Right. Right.
Because when you come in and you put your money down, you want to make sure that your money is protected. And that the mayor, because the first place you come is to the mayor. Look, most people say that will come and say, unless the mayor likes this, we ain't doing it.
Right.
Because it ain't going to go nowhere. And
Right.
we're just spending money. And so if you got, I learned so much how so many people were involved in this election outside of the city.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, I said, oh God, from the governor on down. It's amazing. So, and this kid, He's broken every law that he could. He just
Still early too.
Yeah, it is still early. It is still early, you know, and it's ongoing. That's all. It's ongoing, you know.
We are back with Jeff Settles. He is a young man. We've had him on before, and he is doing some great things. And obviously, Black Westchester. How old is the newspaper, Damon?
The newspaper actually is only we went to print last August,
Last August.
but the website has been up for the last 3 years.
And it is filling a need, a thirst that the community has that should be nurtured with information. The other thing you should start looking at is the school board. It's amazing that the school board budget is 3 times as big as the city's, but the city gets all the ink. But you better look at that school board, because one of the big reasons that homes will not sell the same house, you put it in New Rochelle, you put it in Eastchester, less house will sell for more. Why is that? Because people look at the school system.
Right.
When I first
Right.
ran in '95, two young black, a young black couple and a young white couple, and I said, we love Mount Vernon, and people love the city, but they can't trust the school system. And they said, look, I can't afford to pay taxes here and send my kid to private school because I don't trust your schools. And we haven't paid enough attention to that. So all of these pieces come together to make your community.
That's right.
And I haven't met too many politicians that understand that. The only thing politicians, by I would say 90% of them, understand is how to hurt each other. And they don't understand that you're not really, if both of us are running for an office, I call you a crook, you call me a bigger crook, right? Now one of us is going to win.
Right.
That's right.
But now you're just a successful crook in the eyes, because you always dirtied up each other. And now people have no confidence in either one of you.
That's right.
And that's what Mount Vernon is doing,
Right.
has done. And I have to stay on the stage longer than I want to, because I am just not going to sit there and let you just keep doing this, bro. I ain't going to do that, because I see what you're doing. I see the consequences of your behavior. I've been too many places not to understand what you're doing. And it's a desecration of your office. It's a desecration of the aspirations of young folks, because they got to be affected by this.
Well, there won't be a city left.
No.
You know, I mean, it's unfortunate because Mount Vernon is in a unique position of being one of the only black governments in the United States of America. You know, where you have a black mayor, majority of black city council, and a majority of black people on the board of education. I mean, it is a black, for all intents and purposes, it's a black government, and it needs to be the torchlight. You know, it needs to be the Wakanda for Westchester, right? Yeah. But we have certain individuals selling off our vibranium, right? Because that's what it is. And if it can't be the torchlight, it should be torchlight for businesses where black people can come and from all over Westchester or Metro New York and do commerce, you know, have functions like go to Mount Vernon, you know, because it's not only is a black government, but it's the center of black culture. I mean, but not everybody understands that school of thought. And part of the problem is even the people that live there, everyday people, don't understand this school of thought of their responsibility. Not just the politicians, but the people that live in the city have a responsibility also. Because everybody's watching. I'm originally from Greenberg, so if I'm at a restaurant or something in Purchase, right, and Mount Vernon comes on, and I'm sitting there, it's a whole bunch of white people. They all look at me. They don't even have to know that I'm from Mount Vernon. But Mount Vernon comes on, and all the white people will look at you.
Right.
So. I mean, it's we have to have a responsibility, to ourselves and to the greater black community, on what we're doing in the city, because it's the best piece of land.
Well, this is what's got to happen, folks. I was just reading just last night about Maynard Jackson. Maynard Jackson was first black mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta is well respected, and it's doing a lot of things. You have the movie industry, you have the televisions.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people are making their way to Atlanta. I was down there about 2 months ago, and this mayor, a young woman, she's
on point.
She's gonna be. You're gonna hear about her, Keisha Bottoms, so black people are very capable. We just don't have them right now. And they think it's all about them.
That's right.
See, the minute you think it's about you, we've lost.
Absolutely.
We've lost if
Absolutely.
you think this is about you.
That's right.
And I know, I've been around too many places for you to fool me like this. So you can do all your little freaky deaky stuff, but I know what you're doing.
Right.
And I've been kind of quiet because I don't want, to just be running my mouth. But now you're forcing me out of the pocket. It's like a quarterback. You can't stay in the pocket.
That's right.
You
That's
gotta
right.
come out.
That's right.
And what is happening is long before this has hit the press about whatever the legal things are, I'm talking about the destructive behavior, the message that you send. When I walk down the street, I was walking my dogs just the other day, and the guy said, "You gotta tell me what's wrong. What's wrong? You gotta tell me something." And I said, "I can't tell you nothing, brother. It ain't nothing for me to tell you. You know what's wrong." We have to check. See, if a city is going to anything, if a family, a city is going to survive, it has to have expectations.
That's right.
You ain't got no expectations. You ain't got no city.
You got to hold people accountable.
And so what has happened is that you and the people out there, you got to look in that mirror. What did I do to aid and abet what I see? So did I not vote?
Yeah.
Or did I not research the person before I voted?
Right.
That's right.
What did I do? Because you did it, either by omission or commission.
Absolutely.
And once you start to understand, then you can make a change. Now, you say I didn't do nothing. That's a problem too.
Yeah.
You didn't do nothing.
That's right.
And so you can change behavior. Trust me. A politician is the easiest thing to control because they want your vote.
Right. And they'll change for that
They
vote.
will change. Trust me. If you make them tell the truth, if you reward the truth, they'll tell the truth.
Right.
But if you reward spins and all that kind of lies and all that kind of stuff, that's what they're going to do.
That's what they continue. Absolutely.
And so, folks out there, I'm not letting you off the hook. We have to do better. We have done better. I am a Southerner by birth, although I've been here most of my life. I'm a Southerner by birth. I came in North Carolina A&T University. I was in the sit-ins. We overturned the black codes for black folks. Do you know how serious that was?
Facts. Yes.
You know how many people died because of what young folks
that's right.
did
That's right.
in the 60s?
True.
So I know this can change. You just got to change your behavior. And the people who know better got to do better.
That's it.
Because otherwise, don't just look at what's happening. How did I participate in it?
That's right.
And then you get the answer. And you won't make the same mistake.
Absolutely
over
not.
and over again. Look, folks, we have, I've enjoyed this discussion. We hope that some of it leaks out into you and you will decide that Mount Vernon is worth saving. Don't believe the lies. Go do some research. Stay off Facebook and get out in that community. and don't trash your community. And I could go on and on about that. Before we go, listen. The same people who throw trash in the street in Mount Vernon will not
Let's
throw
do
it in
White
Pella.
Plains. Or White Plains or any other place. You're
Don't do
absolutely
it.
right.
They run through the street, barreling down the street, 1 block, 100 miles an hour. You think they're going to do that in Pelham?
No.
They got
That's right.
streets over there. If you want to go fast, don't relegate that to Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Speed in Pelham.
That's right.
Serious. Serious.
And how you going to have your kids being smart and then you don't go to meetings or nothing? You don't encourage
That's right.
it? Can't happen, folks.
Can't happen. Get involved.
Listen,
That's
I'm
right.
on the road, but they tell me I got to cut this out. And
for having
I want
us,
to thank you.
man.
Thank
folks
you.
for
Thank
being
you.
here.
It's good to
Thank
hear
you.
your point of view.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
guys, speak
we'll
up.
see you next week. Hopefully, if I don't get mugged or nothing.
You got
Same
you, man.
place,
You got you.
same place, same time.
All right.